The ideas for such a training for these community radio broadcasters was initiated last year through a dialogue by Oxfam and the West African Democracy Radio based in Senegal, Dakar. The aim is to address information and communication needs of the communities on Ebola through Oxfam's monitoring and effective governance on the Ebola epidemic response project. It will also strengthen the capacities of these broadcasters to produce quality, ethical information about the Ebola disease in their various communities through a coordinated and rigorous top-bottom approach communication via radio FM, website, and civil society networks in the ECOWAS region. Within the next 2 days, participants will be trained on using smartphones for recordings, sending of information on a sensitive reporting through the equipment that has been given to them. Participants will be trained on Ebola transmission health communication strategies, presentation on professional production techniques, digital editing by using Adobe facilities, smartphones to record audio and video, edit and upload on website, among others. Board Chair West Africa Democracy Radio Batilo Ewarite says the training will improve production technique of participants, review and assess the impact of quality work done by radio listening groups over the past years. He was optimistic that the process will build capacity in transmitting what has been produced through the community radio stations on good governance Ebola epidemic response by using the media to communicate to people at different levels. The head of News and Current Affairs, West Africa Democracy Radio, also project coordinator Agnes John Tomasi, believes supporting and monitoring the effective governance of the Ebola epidemic response in West Africa is to contribute in building the capacity of broadcast journalists to work on the information disseminated. She says the project is supporting radio listening groups and facilitators that will be working on the good governance projects on the Ebola disease. 4 thematic areas have been developed to serve as a source of advice and encouragement by revitalizing through a top-bottom approach in communication.
Contribute to the process of building capacity. In terms of training the journalists we work with. We work with community radio stations. That is how WADR transmits whatever we produce through community radio stations. And we are saying we are working on a project. The Ebola project we have with Oxfam, which is supporting and monitoring the effective governance of the Ebola epidemic response in West Africa. For this reason, we cannot just support, we cannot monitor without having the right people. So why not contribute to building the capacity of these journalists and technicians who work on the product that we disseminate? And that's the reason we are here for a training program to build capacity of journalists, technicians, and also to set up radio listening groups by training facilitators who will be working with the listening groups.
Oxfam's advocacy campaign manager Amphibians Orayawea recognized the efforts by the West African Democracy Radio and other partners in the process. According to him, the project is part of its human rights-based approach for the people to be heard. Mr. Wea notes that access to information by communities is fundamental for change to happen that will add value to the process. He was appreciative of the role the media is playing in the fight against Ebola. The government spokesman, Abdoulaye Berete, informs that such a training speaks volume and a further advantage to the various radio stations for a quality and effective programs. Mr. Berete adds that Ebola has affected every sector, but with the use of smartphones for reporting and dissemination of information is key in the fight against the disease, and that with the passing into law, the access to information and the proliferation of community radio stations indicates that the government believes in people's democracy. SLBC News, Abubakar Bangura, Freetown.